Go.
We on?
Yep.
Hi, everybody. This is Doug Svensson from Viking Capital Investments, and welcome to tonight's webinar. We're going to be talking about good deals versus bad deals, and we are talking, of course, about non-performing notes because that is what I do preach all the time. Greg is not on the webinar with us tonight. He was coming back from a job and is stuck in traffic, so he might pop on here sometime during the night or during this I don't know how long it's going to be, or it's usually about half hour, but it might be a little bit longer. But anyways, I'm Doug Svensson. That's my brother Greg Svensson, and that's JD Bates.
What's up, guys?
Who are we? Viking Capital Investments is a mortgage note investment firm, and we focus on purchasing non-performing first lien notes across the United States. We've been buying distressed assets since 2001. And for many years, we have been doing rehabs and rentals. We do buy the notes from banks and hedge funds at a major discount. And our goal is to help the mortgage holders stay in their homes. VCI works with investors throughout the United States, and we help the investor to get a better rate of return on their investment money. And we've talked about CDs and putting in the stock market and things like this. And you've probably heard about some of that in our last few webinars. Our goal, help investors realize they can be the bank and not have to deal with toilets and tenants. Educate our investors on a better way of investing, sharing deals we have done and are currently working on, which we're doing tonight, and partnering with our investors and showing them a greater return with their self-directed IRAs and 401k plans. We've had a couple investors in the last couple days that have come on board, and we've been giving them a certain percentage, and so far they're really happy, and we're looking forward to working with them.
Those are IRA and 401k investors, Doug?
Yeah, JD, good call. Yep, they're 401k and self-directed IRA investors, and we've worked out some stuff with them and sending out the agreements and taking down some notes. That's what it's all about, right, JD?
Great, awesome.
What is a non-performing note? When the homeowner fails to pay the mortgage for 90 days, it becomes a non-performing note, or an NPN for short. When a note is non-performing, it is considered a default at 120 days, and the bank will typically have to, by law, make a move to liquidate the non-performing note or foreclose. And the bank has to do this because the government regulations comes down on them when they have non-performing notes and the money is not working for the bank. And that is a non-performing note. I know some of you have seen this before, but we do have new people that come on, and we got to let them know what we do and how we do it. When VCI buys a non-performing note, we have 3 exit strategies. We'd like to keep the borrower in the property if we can, and that's by modifying the loan to help the borrower stay in the home. And the second would be a deed in lieu, where the borrower signs over the deed to the property. That'll happen if we get no response from the borrower and we can't seem to do anything with them. We'll take the foreclosure. The deed in lieu, usually get that when they decide that they no longer want the property. Got to do a skip trace sometimes, and that's part of the due diligence. And we usually look at the properties with people that are in there because that gives us a chance to work out our 3 exit strategies better. Our process in finding notes and our due diligence. We just talked about skip tracing a little bit. That's finding the homeowner when they're gone. But these are some of the things that we have to do when we look at notes on a daily basis and through the week. We look through tapes with assets on them every week, and we usually look at hundreds. There's hundreds on these tapes, and to find 10 or 15 good ones. We scope out the area, and the asset is through Google and Google Maps. you can go into Google with the address and take a look at the property and look around and kind of like having a little bit of boots on the ground, even though you're not there. You can be on the Google search map and see a lot of good information. Gives you a real good idea if you want to, and that's one of the biggest things we do. It gives you a real good idea if you look at the Google Maps and Google Earth and you kind of pan around down the street, things like that, taking a look at what the community looks like, what the houses next to it look like, what's going on down the street, what's going on to the side of the house, all things like that. It's a very, very powerful tool.
Exactly. And just as a little story there, Doug, I think it was Jason that, you know, they look at a house and it was great, but when they went into the basement, it was basically like a pool. So part of that due diligence as well is to check out the property. You know, either send a realtor, or if you're close to the property, go check it out yourself, because you know sometimes you find, you know, this kind of surprises where, you know, the the basement is basically a pool or stuff like that. So it's super important to, you know, to double check all those properties for sure.
Yeah, JD, that is really, really great to bring up. That is a friend of ours, of JD and myself and my brother, Jason. And the good news about this was he got this property at a deep discount. He got it for about $16,000. He got the note for, and it's worth about 75. So we actually talked about it a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, that was a bummer, 10 grand." I said, "Well, Jason, let me ask you this question. Would you have bought that deal for 26?" He goes, "Absolutely." I go, "All right, well, it's a little headache, but it's not that bad." So he's going to do just fine. But JD brought up some great information there. Sometimes you can't always see inside of the property, and that's especially if it's vacant. That's why we try to look at properties that have people still in them. In that case, you don't have the flooding in the basement, things like that. They're still taking care of it. So that's one of the things we do look at. Other investors and notes might not look at that as closely, but we just make sure that we look at that because it's part of our 3 exit strategy as far as you know, trying to get it modified, a deed in lieu, or taking it to the foreclosure process. We'd look at the rents and do the comparables on that. And we compare that with the principal and interest that they're paying. A lot of times, the rents in the area are, and we're going to go through this on a couple deals that we have, but the rents in the area might be $750, $800, and they're paying $350 or $400 in their principal and interest. Now, taking into consideration, they do have to pay their taxes, but that's on them, not you. And with that being said, usually the rents are higher than the principal and interest, and that keeps people in the house most of the time because they know they're paying under what the rent roll is in that particular area. We search through county records to determine unpaid taxes. That's huge. You want to make sure that I had another note investor friend of mine bought a property, but for some reason they missed the $5 grand that was on the taxes after they had purchased it. So this is all part of the due diligence. It takes time, and like I said, we look through hundreds of these each week. We do have realtors drive by to look at the condition of the property and take pictures and give us some comps on what the property's worth. These are all things that are common sense, but I know there's a lot of new investors out there, maybe doctors, lawyers, things like that, that don't have the time to do this, but are looking for a better avenue to park their money with. Example number 1, what everybody's waiting for. This one's Nashville Road in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,068 square feet. It's got the principal and interest on this one's $278. They owe $28,000. And we had the realtor drive by, and that's, you know, looking at that on the outside, says it looks to be vacant and trashed out. So that wasn't a big interest of ours. If you look at the graph, It's starting to get long, and there's what looks to be some stuff there on the little porch there. The rents in the area were
Hold on one second, guys. Seems that we lost Doug here real quick. Please hold, and let's see. Let's just give it a minute to Doug so he can come back. Probably internet issues. So 1 second, guys.
Constantly. She was like, I can't believe you guys called us. She said, the bank never called us.
Wow.
And we've been trying to figure out a restructure or modify our loan so we can get back on track, and nobody ever called us. I said, well, you're getting a call now. And they were very happy and working towards a workout, and away we go.
Perfect. And so you guys were able to, keep them in their home, and
yep.
It's, very good. And
yep.
then to be able to refinance and to get more return on investment for the investor.
Yeah, and when we're joint venturing with folks, they're going to get their interest rate before we get ours. So based on whatever our negotiated deal is, they always get theirs first, and then we get ours second. And if for some reason something happened where the rate narrowed and there was a less of a return, they would still get theirs, and we would take a lesser of a return. So we just that's fair, because a lot of people don't know about these notes, and they're hesitant. They haven't tried it.
Yeah.
But I'm totally comfortable. I mean, I've got a lot of money personally in these things, and I have absolutely no hesitation of doing it.
Perfect. Which ones would be the steps or the process to do the due diligence? I can tell you a couple, which would be, let me tell you real quick.
Are you reading the slides, or are you shooting from the hip on this?
I'm just totally going with you here, because like I said, Doug had an issue with his internet. So
are they having storms up there this evening? They've had a lot of rain, I understand.
For sure. But no, for sure. I mean, like one of the things, and I don't know if Doug told you, but we're developing over here at Clever Grit a platform so you guys can do your due diligence and check the main things that you need to check. When was the property built? If it was sold, when was last sold? What was the price? The tax assessment. All
good stuff.
Yeah,
all good stuff.
The crime rate of the area is very important as well of the rent.
I'll pause you right there, JD. The crime rate is the first thing I look at.
Good.
Because I just don't have the patience to deal with the environment those homes are in. Okay. And I know there's a lot of folks who are saying, well, isn't that kind of taken away from people who need a chance down there? The problem is it's not those folks. It's the whole surrounding area that has created this cauldron of what do you call it, dysfunction. And they don't get the mortgages paid. They don't get the rents paid. They just don't pay. And then you got to worry about your houses getting vandalized, burned down, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So the thing I look at, and Doug just joined us back. I know this is probably on his top 5, is we look at that crime rate. We find out what is the neighborhood like. There's so much product out there that we don't need to go into the inner cities to find stuff. There's plenty of stuff all over the country. So, hey, Doug.
The power of computers, boys and girls.
You're back.
I'm in the middle of something, and the whole thing freezes.
Don't worry about it. JD was just going over some of the due diligence points, and he mentioned crime, and I decided to jump in on that because, as we've talked in the past, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to where JD and I were.
It's too late. We went through everything you're going to say, everything.
You went through all of the...
No,
I'm kidding.
We didn't. Go ahead and share your screen again, and we can start where we can start where the first note that you were doing.
Okay. And JD, you can probably go in and splice this from where it went, right?
I don't have the presentation, but just go ahead and open it on your screen, and then
It is open on the screen.
okay, and now just go ahead and share your screen, or go ahead and put it into reading mode first, and then you go ahead and share your screen. Thank you for your patience, guys. There was a lot of people that stayed with us here, including Dennis, Jim, Larry, Rich, and Joe. Big shout out for you guys, and thank you for hanging in there with us.
Okay. Wow.
There
Yeah,
it is.
I was on there, and next thing I knew, it was frozen and gone.
All right, go ahead, buddy.
So this is the example of the Nashville Road, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1068 square feet. Principal and interest on this is $278, and they owe $28,000. I don't know when we had left on the screen, but the realtor looked at it and said it's vacant and it looks trashed out. If you can take a look at the picture, you can see that the grass is growing high. There's a bunch of stuff in the porch in the front there, and the rents around the area are $500 to $600. We did not make an offer on this. It looked like the properties in the going area were right around 15 to 30,000. So it's, again, part of the due diligence. This did not make any sense for us.
Doug, is this one of yours that you're putting up as a bad deal? A deal
No,
that's
this is a good deal, Greg.
is a good deal. Okay, well,
No, it's a bad deal.
well, the reason I ask is because we're going to have, good and not so good. But
Right.
I can.
Well, this is showing everybody this is a reason why we do our due diligence, to show you that this is probably something you want to stay away from. Again, we want to look at people that are in the properties. That gives us a chance to do either keeping them in the property with a small modification, or doing a deed in lieu, and if not that, the foreclosure. But if they're in the property, that gives us a chance to go through the 3 things that we do, and it's more of a broader horizon for us to be able to work with the mortgage holder to stay in the property. So no, we did not make an offer on this. It's not in the greatest of areas, and it's a bit run down. Now this one, Westwood Drive in Flint, Michigan, this would probably be a modification. 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, starter home, 1056 square feet. Principal and interest on this is $342. They owe $39,000. The taxes are $1,825, and the rents are around $600 to $700. So again, they're paying their taxes, but at $1,800, they're paying over about $150 a month in taxes. So they're $500, and the rents are $600 to $700. Now the purchase price on this, you're probably going, well, that doesn't seem much of a deal, but it's $36,000. Now the worth on the property is about 60 to 70K. Now here's where it gets interesting. The maturity date on this note is 2040. So it's over, it's actually what is that, 24 years? 24 years on that. So for you investors that have CDs or in the stock market and worried about what you have, or just like not making enough money, you take your 342 times 12 times 24 years, you're looking at $98,496. I'm not sure if, I think I did that right. So that's why the purchase price on that would be $36K. You're not always purchasing on what's owed. Sometimes you're purchasing on what it's worth. Now, they might know that, they may not, but that's a good deal, especially if they're still in there. You send out the information that we're the new company that's holding your mortgage, and if they want to stay on in there, and you have $342 coming in per month. You might have seen one of my emails, and this is the one I was talking about. When we're talking about buying a car, you're buying a car, if you put the money into this, you have somebody else paying for your car payment for, what would you say a car payment would be? Maybe 15 years? So the rest of that would be gravy. So this is what we call a good deal.
Nice.
Example number 3, this is Broadway Boulevard, and this is Sedalia, Missouri. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,779 square feet, and this house is pretty big. Now, the principal and interest on this is $469. When Greg and I look at a note, we usually are looking at principal and interest, and this is just our model. This doesn't have to be yours, but we look at principal and interest. We like it to be $300 or more. And the O on this is $54,000. Taxes are $960, and the rents in the area are over $1,000. So there's much incentive to stay in this house at $470 plus about 75, 80 bucks a month on that. You're paying way under the rents in the area, and that's a nice house. I
like that house.
Yeah, I believe that house is built.
That looks like an old Victorian.
Yeah, 1910. 1910,
There
I
you
believe.
go. Nice.
So the purchase price on that would be around half of what it's worth, $35K. It's worth about $70,000 to $80,000. Now, the whole point of this is to show you good deals and bad deals, but the only reason we can show you good deals or bad deals is if we can show you what it means to get to those. And that is due diligence, looking at taxes, looking at this, looking at that. Now, on this, Missouri's foreclosure is 65 to 75 days. So with it being purchased at 35 and it's worth 70 to 80 grand, you got a fast foreclosure state there. That's a good deal. And I don't think I have to tell you guys that, but I think you see it. And the area is great. We did the Google search and the zoom around the area, and very nice area. Greg, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm buying that one. I'm buying that. So, I can be like that guy on TV who rehabs all the antique cars, but his guys wanting to sell them. He goes, "Nah, I'm keeping that one."
Oh, that's the counting cars. Yeah, I love that guy.
Counting notes.
Counting notes. There you go. Well, I didn't know I thought you were on your Twitter or something. I saw you looking down.
No.
All right, so that's a good note. JD, you like that one?
I'll buy it as well. Here.
Well, I didn't know you're one of our investors.
I might become an investor. You never know.
Yeah. JD, the price just went up, so you big on it there.
Yeah, guy, be nice.
All right, nice looking little house.
It's a little house.
What
is
a
it?
little house?
200 square feet? What is that thing?
3 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,022 square feet house.
Oh, it must go into like the next neighbor's backyard.
It does go back. If you do the Google search on it, you bring it up.
Wow.
But anyway, the principal and interest on this is $326. They owe $37,500. Taxes are $1,000. Rents are $600, and it's worth about $35,000 to $45,000. Now, this might look like a pretty good deal, but we did a search in the area. We take into consideration crimes, things like that. We didn't make an offer on this one. We decided to pass. We went down the street and saw that there was a boarded up apartment building. That is never a good sign. When your apartment buildings are boarded up, that's tough. Plus, there was siding off of it. The bottoms were definitely all boarded up, and it was in rough shape. So this one, even though it looks like it's pretty nice, um, it's something we decided to pass on. We can, again, if you go back to the beginning, as we said, we look at hundreds of notes to just find maybe 10 to 15 to purchase. We're finding better stuff than this one, but this one could be a maybe, but we decided with some of the board ups that it's probably not the greatest of area. You can go to places like Trulia, and they'll give you a good idea of what the area is like, the crime rate, things like that. One of the things that I found interesting about Trulia is that, you know, it might be in a green area, which usually says good, red means bad. But if you look off to the side, it might say stabbing or burglary or something like that. So not everything you see, which I'm sure you all know on the computer, is correct. So you have to take some of that into consideration when you're going through Truly and taking a look at that. Just because it's green doesn't mean it's necessarily that great. Look off to the side and see if you see anything in that little box, because that tells a lot too.
Let me ask you something. What would be like an acceptable or like a standard crime rate for a property that is worth to invest?
Well, that's a good question. There's areas in the United States that have gotten a lot better, and then there's some that haven't. But if you can't get everything you want from just a quick search, you can go on to other avenues on the internet. And I mean,
Neighborhood Navigator is a good one.
Yeah.
That's got a lot of information.
Yeah, truly is just a quick fix where you look at it real quick and it gives you some information. But going with that theme, when you're seeing boarded up apartments and houses and things like that, if you want to go the easy route, I'm not doing the easy route, but if you go to a neighborhood in Chicago or Cleveland or something, I could have made this real easy. You just zip around there and you see like 5 or 6 boarded up houses, and then you go, well, I don't know why I'm looking at it, but it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And these houses typically, if you're working on a 50% buy, these are going to be much less. You're just not going to put your money at risk on something like that. Now, what I will say is that if, let's say, you're buying a package and you got to take all or none, and you get a couple of these, first thing you want to do is start reaching out to local rehab guys who know the neighborhood and live in the area. And you're going to buy this house for dirt cheap, and you're going to sell it for $1,000 over dirt cheap and take your money and hand it off. So
the thing about that is we're looking at tapes sometimes, and we have some investors sometimes that contact us, possibly taking down tapes. But if you're taking out a tape and you get this house, it's not looking so bad right now, because if it's occupied and they're paying $326 a month, that one's not too bad. But as far as one-offs and things like that, it just didn't meet the criteria that we're looking for our portfolio.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that's 4 examples. That in a nutshell is a very short version, but it's the due diligence that we do. Pretty much looking at the rent in the area. That's huge, because you want to know that the principal and interest is not more than the rents. Otherwise, why are they going to stay? You're looking at Google Maps, making sure it's a good area, and you try to get a realtor. If you're really interested in something like this, you try to really get a realtor to go out there, and that's called boots on the ground. Have them take a picture and send it back to you. We got a couple really nice ones we're looking at right now. They're pretty close to what they bought it for, but what they're worth in the area is double what the note is, and that's sometimes why you have to say, yeah, I might just go ahead and buy that note at that amount. Especially only if they're in the rears for 2 or 3 months. You might be able to get them back on track very easily, and then you got a nice little chunk of change coming in per month at $326. So I mean, there's just so many different ways of looking at this business, but there's a lot of outs, a lot of different things you can do.
Exactly. And I think that's a pretty I like that about notes, that you can actually choose or figure out what is the best exit strategy for your investment, which you usually can't don't get with, stocks or bonds or stuff like that, right? So that's one of the pluses of investing in notes, is like you actually have around three main exit strategies that it always work for you. You never lose with either of the three.
Yep. And when
Very
you get a
true.
property back like that, you could go ahead and rehab it, and you could do a lease option on it. There are so many different ways to do this.
Doug, did you mention the fact about the 8 to 12 months of steady payments that people will buy the note off you?
Yep.
If you want to roll that money and go and do another note.
Yep. And that was the big thing about the Michigan one, is that investors don't realize that on that $40,000, you're getting like a $350 payment a month. And who's you'd buy that? You'd buy that in a minute.
Yeah, return on investment's very good when
Yeah,
you.
the return on investment on that one was 10.5. Tell me if you're getting that in your CDs. Tell me if you're getting that in your stocks and bonds. I want to talk to you. If you're getting that, I want to talk to you. So anyway, I'm Doug, and this is Greg and JD, and we are Viking Capital Investments, LLC.com. And you can reach me at Doug@VikingCapitalInvestmentsLLC.com. That is our 800 number, 855-508-4546. And you can connect with both of us on LinkedIn, and you can connect with us on Facebook. We have the Illinois Non-Performing Note Meetup, and we have tons of YouTube videos on deals we have done. We've done many, many rehabs, and we have a lot of that you can find on YouTube. Plus deals that we're taking down right now, like the Mariondale. We had YouTube on that, and JD did a great job putting that together. Put a little music to it. We had some pictures. It was just rehabbed in 2015, and we have an investor that's going to work with us and take that one down as well. He's going to get a real nice return. So he's happy, we're happy, and we're always looking for more investors that are looking to work with us and would look like a better rate of return than they might be getting with CDs and stocks and bonds. And what do you call that, Greg? You're in the stock market? Sell, sell, sell.
What do you mean? What do you call it? You buy your stocks, and everyone who's buying stocks now is buying the top. So it's probably not a real good strategy.
I sent all you guys on the all you attendees a link for our Facebook page. So just go ahead and like us on Facebook, so you can follow us there. And yeah, you can find all the information there. Just follow us. Stay tuned for more webinars, more good things of value that we want to give to you guys. So stay tuned with us. And again, if you have any questions of any kind, you can just go ahead and contact Doug.
Thank you so much for coming on with us, and sorry about the glitch. My computer just froze, but we got back.
Don't worry about it.
Hopefully we got through everything.
Yeah, no, I took care of it. All right.
You did. All right. That's what a brother's for.
All right, I'm going.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.